Hey, I'm Lauren from TastyPC.tv, and this is a new My Rig/Systems video. Basically, it's been nearly 2 years now since the last one, and my rigs have changed so much since then that I thought it was about time that I kind of made a new one to just update you all on kind of the rigs that I've got now and the specs that are in my personal builds. Should really start by saying though that not so much in this one, but you'll see in the rig that I'm going to show you in a second that you might be surprised that I'm not using kind of the newest and most powerful products that I own, and that is, like, the reason for that is because I need them parts to be kind of spare just to use in like any video, like a moment's notice. I can't really have them like tied down in my personal builds. So this is my main rig, which is the one that I game on. It's my workstation. This is pretty much the rig that I do everything on, and it's the build that I did for my 250D review. This is pretty much that with a few changes, and I'll cover the changes like in a sec. But I did love the build so much that I was just like, I'll start using this rather than what I was using before. So obviously it's a mini RTX build, as you can see. I still stand by the 250D looking better like this. I know I said this in my 250D review, but just change the feet to the bottom, switch the front, get rid of the optical bay, make the window larger, and I think it would look so good and sell really well. I did say to Corsair, and they were like, let's see how well the 250D sells first. I have had some people be like, you can't use it like that, you're cutting off all airflow to the graphics card. And I was like, well, apart from the fact that I'm not going to be using it like this, the feet would be at the bottom, so it'd be like lifted up and, you know, no, okay, the graphics card would get airflow. Okay, so for the motherboard I'm using an Asus Maximus 6 Impact, and for the processor I'm using an i5-4570. Now, when I did the review I had an i7-4770K in here, but that had to go back on the test bench, unfortunately. So I've only got two Haswell processors, so I'm now using like the only one that I had spare, which is 4570. And even though it's locked, I managed to do the massive overclock from 3.6 to 3.8. It's massive. No, but yeah, so there's that. Okay, so for the cooler I'm using a Corsair H100i. I've obviously got the LED red to match. I've got two SP120s exhausting on the rad, and then an AF140L, not L, sorry, I changed it, it's an AF140, intaking from the front, which does mean this has got negative air pressure, which sucks for dust, so I am going to swap them around when I get a chance, probably today, somewhere, just so they all blow in the opposite direction. Okay, so for the memory, I'm using 16 gig of 1866 MHz silver Vengeance Pro memory. But because I wanted them to be red to match the red and black colour theme scheme, whichever one is the correct use. But I switched the caps on them to swap them because I wanted to leave the red Vengeance Pro memory on the test bench. But I wanted obviously the red to be in here, so I've just swapped the caps, so now on the test bench it's got silver tops and in here it's got red tops. But it does look funny because the stickers have still got like the silver bit around them. But that's obviously overclocked a little bit as well. I can't remember to what, it's like 1900 and something. Obviously raising the base clock for overclocking the CPU. Okay, so for the graphics card I'm using a Mars 760, which, if you saw my like quick initial Mars look on my GPU comparison video, I do really love the card. Like, originally I was only supposed to keep the Poseidon 780, but I loved it so much I like practically begged to keep it. It's really bad. I love the card. I love it. It's like, it's my baby. You cannot take it from me. It's mine. I think I'd actually probably cry if I had to give it away. It's mine. Okay, what have I covered? Okay, so I'm also using an AX760i power supply. So everything? Maybe? I think so, yeah. Okay, I think that's everything. So, that's my main build. So this is my second rig, which is kind of like a cross between a mini home file server and a home theatre PC. And it's got 10 terabytes across 5 different drives, 2 terabytes per drive. And I've also got my OS on a 60 gig Force GT solid state drive, which is just sat in one of the little solid state drive trays on the back of the motherboard tray. And I'm pretty much completely out of space at this point, so I'm considering maybe getting like a Western Digital Red 4 terabyte drive. I haven't decided if I'm going to or not yet though. So I don't have my drives in RAID because I'm always just swapping them out, like I don't need the hassle of that. And I did look into using Windows 8 storage spaces as kind of like a Drobo alternative, but it's not really for me, so I'm just going to continue backing up manually, which is fine because I don't need to back up that often anyway, and I've done it for so long now and I'm so used to it that I've never like forgotten not to back up and then lost data because of it. So the case that I'm using is a Fractal Design Arc Mini R2, which, before this I was using the Define R4 for like my kind of workstation, and I asked Fractal if I could get some of the black hard drive trays from the white R4 to make kind of like a stealthy blacked out version of the R4, which did make me laugh when at CES they released like a R4, what was it, Blackout Edition I think it's called. That did make me laugh. But I've now got the black hard drive trays in here, so I've got like a stealthy Arc Mini R2. So for the motherboard I'm using an Asus Maximus 4G and Z, and for the graphics card an Asus DirectCUII 560 Ti. And obviously they're both quite old now, I've had them before I started TastyPC, and that motherboard now has such bad graphics card sag because I had a Matrix 580 on there for so long that if I've had to prop that graphics card up with a cable and then with a cable tie, and if I cut the cable tie it would just like, well, not quite that bad, but it's not great. But my first upgrade with this system is to change the cable tie because it's actually a white cable tie. I don't know what I do know. Basically, I was in Macklin and I saw, this is quite a while ago, I saw this bag of white cable ties and I was like, oh my god, I have to get white cable ties for my rig. How cool would that look? That'd be so funky. I don't know why. I thought that was a good idea. And now I've just got loads of white cable ties that I can't get rid of. I could just bin them, but that would be such a waste. And I've got I'm out of black cable ties, so it's bad. Like when you're trying to like hide away your cable management and make it look really neat, and then you've just got these like bright whites to the point where they're almost fluorescent cable ties. It's awful. So wasn't my brightest decision, but I've now got quite a few white cable ties that I want to change out for black ones as soon as I buy some black ones. Okay, so I'm using an i5 2500K. I'm just going to leave it as stock. I'm not going to bother overclocking it because, you know, this isn't going to be gaming or anything like that. And for the cooler, I'm using the Corsair H55. Now, on the rad, I've got Phobia Nano 2G, but the front, I've got two Phobia NBE loops. Now, the Nano 2G glows this really nice, like red, and you might be able to see a red flex light down here. And now, I should say that when the side panel's on, you can't see the flex light. Like, I really do hate it when people put flex lights in their build, and even with the side panel on you can still see that. I think it just makes the build look really untidy. But yeah, so the fan glows this really, oops, just hit the microphone. The fan glows this like really nice, like deep red at the top, and then the flex light, I haven't got it like bright red, it's just like a really nice subtle red. So the rig's just kind of in the corner, just glowing this really nice red. It's really nice. Yeah, so for the memory I'm using 16 gig of gold Vengeance Pro memory, just because I don't need it for anything else at the moment, and if I did, you know how easy it's just to swap out memory, so that's fine. And then for the power supply, I'm using an NMAX Revolution 87 Plus, which I do think is the sexiest power supply that I've seen in real life, which is why it's fan face up. And the pattern on the sleevings, on the sleeving, I really do love that. I think that it looks like a snake, and I really do love snakes. But the actual sleeving itself isn't great, like it stops too soon, and then like the exposed cables don't look all that great. But it's an 850 watt power supply, so it's overkill for obviously the build, and it's not semi-passive, and it's only 80 plus gold efficiency, so I don't want to change it at one point to get kind of a high efficiency semi-passive power supply. I also want to get like a gigabit Intel NIC at some point for load balancing, because I do have two lines here. I've got my personal line, which is Virgin Media, which is fibre, and that gets me about 125 down, 12 up. And then the family recently, well, about half a year ago now, got BT Infinity, which is also fibre, and that gets about 60 down, 16 up. So this motherboard's only got 1 gigabit LAN port, so I do want to get one of those, and then obviously I can do that for load balancing. I don't know the greatest amount about networking, so I did do like a little trial run with it on my little Node 304 rig with a SOTAC motherboard, and because that's got 2 gigabit LAN ports, and I did get a pretty decent download speed, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll put a picture somewhere. But yeah, so I want to do that. I should probably say that I do know that you can't like use both lines simultaneously. It's for things like, you know, torrenting and stuff. But this is going to be my main downloader. I might get like a dual RAM router at some point. I haven't decided. I might do. Might not. So yeah, those are all the upgrades that I'm thinking I want to do with this rig at the moment. I do have quite a few other rigs dotted around and like 2 test benches, but I'm not going to cover any of them. Like you might have seen one if you watch my GPU comparison video, the one that I did the noise test on. But they're all rigs that I kind of just put together for random reasons that I'm taking apart, and I'd be sat here like, and then I've got this system which I built because for the sake of it, and I'm taking it apart in 2 days. So I thought I'd only cover like the 2 rigs that I'm always going to try and keep together. I'm always going to try and like work on and build on and stuff. So yeah, so I'm probably going to do another one of these videos in a month. It depends. If I haven't done any upgrades, then I won't. But knowing me, they'll be in completely different cases and completely different parts. So if I've upgraded them, I'll do another video in a month's time. But, you know, if you like this video, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and want to see more of my videos. And thanks for watching.